Happy day 13. We're almost halfway through these 28 days and welcoming up all those feelings and recognizing all those thoughts, knowing they're not who we really are. At least maybe we're starting to get an idea that that's not who we really are. Today I'd like to touch base on family and our friends that are so close to us. Whatever we're doing for business or in life in general, look at Bruce Lee's life and his intentions and what he created for himself and what he succeeded at. You know, one has to wonder if his family was actually behind him. I don't know that full story, and maybe somebody out there of you does, but I do not. Feel free to share. I know he had a son that took up his place afterwards. Anyways, family. Family can be the death of us or the life of us. Family can trip us up like crazy or support us to no end. It all depends upon, I don't even know. All I know is we all have our stories about our family and close friends. Some of them support us every step of the way, no matter what. They check out what we have. They have faith in us. They are our biggest cheerleaders. Some of them, the exact opposite. Our biggest critics, our biggest, like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're crazy. No one's going to listen to you. I'll pretend to support you in some ways. I'll pretend to check it out, but not really. Like, the absolutely last thing that we would ever think of. No, they won't help you spread the word. No, they won't give you any referrals. No, you're never going to make it. Why don't you go get a real job? I wonder what Bruce Lee's family really thought of him. How much support he actually received. Either way, at the end of the day, no matter how much of a rah-rah we get, I think of the marathons out there, and I used to go, and Boston Marathon, I would go as close to Heartbreak Hill as possible to just, help support all those runners. I had close friends and family that used to run that marathon, and I would be there supporting them, and you can do this, you got this, and, doing whatever it took to help them and for them to know that I was behind them. I had no expectations. I just wanted to do it because I loved them. Still love them. But not everybody comes from that perspective. Maybe you don't even come from that perspective. And it's okay, because we're all here playing a different role on this planet. But I think of that, and that's a huge feat just to run a marathon and to complete it. I don't have any desire to even think of doing that. But Bruce Lee, he did that and more. So there's all walks of life. We all have our different intentions and our different results that we want to make happen at the end of our life. Or by the end of our life. And whoever, jumps on board and supports us in whatever we're doing, what a feeling it is from the external. But the real self-confidence and the real support that we really, really need is our own. I mean, you think about, so many different aspects of life, different events that have happened. That look at Gandhi and all he went through and being locked up and everything, but he took advantage of it and just dove inside and just even became even more of who he already knew who he was. And just, you can welcome those times to just go in and discover that shining star that you are inside. Let all those triggers be hit. Just to use them to your benefit to go in and find that inside of you, what you're looking for from others. And find it you will if you keep it up. If you really look. If you let go of the trigger and really look inside of you. And you'll discover that self-confidence inside of you. So if you're not feeling confident within right now, what is that? What is that feeling that needs to come up and just be let go of? Just allow those feelings to come up. Allow all those feelings of my family doesn't support me, my best friends don't support me, the world just doesn't get it. Allow those feelings to come up. And open up a window, tuck your chin, and just, could you let them go? Have them come up, I love you, I allow you to be there, and now I decide to let you go. I am the boss, and I decide to let you go. And more, 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 and more. And could you just let go of all those feelings? And even more. And even more. It's just a decision. And even more. And what's underneath those feelings? Feelings of wanting approval. They keep that wanting approval can keep showing that face of us wanting approval over and over and over again. So, could you just repeat after me? I must want freedom more than I want approval, control, or safety. Yes. I decide to let go, to be free. Yes. And could you let go of wanting approval so you can have approval? Yes. And could you let go of wanting approval so you could have approval? Yes. And what feels better, having approval or wanting approval? Sometimes we even say wanting approval feels better because we're so used to wanting approval. But it really doesn't. So check yourself. Did you say want or did you say have? And it's okay. Forgive yourself for that. Took me a long time to finally stop saying wanting. It's just this robotic programming that's in our head that we want. But we actually, we would like to feel the having. So we can't want and have at the same time. So, could you let go of wanting approval so you can have approval? Yes. Which feels better, having approval or wanting approval? Having approval feels better. Do you have approval or do you still want it? I have approval. If you still feel like you want it, then keep going. Keep asking yourself if you could let go of wanting so you can have until you finally feel like you have. Check in with yourself. Do I have approval? Do I still want approval? Okay, I have approval. Now reach for that having approval feeling. Even if it's just a tiny bit, just reach for that feeling. Notice how having approval feels. Feels totally different than wanting. So, can you have even more approval? Yes. And 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 who's giving you this approval? Is your brother, is your sister, is your mother, or is your father, or is it your friends, or is it the world? Who's giving you this approval? You are. You're giving yourself approval. That I of you is giving yourself approval. That who you really are is giving yourself approval. There's more power in that than anything outside of you. So could you give yourself even more approval? Yes. And even more approval? Yes. And even more approval? Yes. And even more approval? Yes. Are you starting to feel a little more calmer, a little more relaxed? A little more like you can just rest in this space? A little more just peaceful, quiet? Could you expand that feeling of having approval? Yes. Could you expand that feeling even more? Yes. And even more? Yes. And could you expand that feeling of having approval to everyone that you don't think is giving you approval? Yes. Just a decision. It's just a decision and you don't have to. I'm just asking. But imagine what might happen if you actually gave the people that you perceive that are not approving of you approval. What if the whole world just all of a sudden shifted? There was enough of us out there giving each other approval. What if even just one person shifted? What if? Could you give yourself even more love and approval? Could you give yourself even more love and approval? Could you send out that love and approval feeling? And even more, 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 and even more. Are you feeling even more relaxed, maybe more at peace, a little more restful, a little calmer from the stress of the day and the rat race of the world? Can you just rest in this space of relaxation, of peace, of tranquility? If you're not experiencing that, let me know. My contact information is in the description on the YouTube. I'll keep going over the tape, this video, until you do feel better. You have choices. This is simple and a profound method. Have an amazing day. Aloha.